So Jack, thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah.
I'm just briefly in New York and wanted to talk to you about Beme and also about community management in general, because I think that's a really exciting topic these days.
Totally.
So first, for the people who don't know, in like 20 seconds, what is Beme?
Yeah, Beme is a video sharing platform that enables you to seamlessly share little moments and clips from your life. It's similar, we like to think of it almost as a Twitter for video sharing. And basically what separates Beme from other video sharing apps is that when you start recording, the screen goes black, and when you finish recording, that clip is automatically added and shared to your story.
You can't actually see what you're filming.
You don't see what you're filming, you don't get a preview of the image that you're looking at. So last summer, we launched a public beta version of Beme. It was only available on iOS, and we released that through Casey's vlog, and also through we had a pretty large presence at VidCon last year. So we announced it and publicly released the iOS beta while we were at VidCon last year, and we had an overwhelming response, much bigger than we sort of expected. Yeah. And the product was it was very immature. It was a beta product. It wasn't really ready for the amount of users that signed up and started using the app right away. So it was tough for us because we kept getting all this, a lot of feedback and some negative feedback about what we were doing. It was really an incomplete, unfinished product that we released. Yeah. But it was advantageous in that we gained a lot of really valuable user feedback that we then used and incorporated into version 1. That's been overwhelming. We were expecting a smaller launch than our initial because it was so overwhelming when we released the beta product originally last summer. So we were expecting something much quieter and smaller. But the response has been even bigger. We saw a bigger download number than we did last summer. Wow. And we've seen a really great, so far, knock on wood, we've seen a really great retention rate so far. So people keep coming back.
That's the most important number you can have in the app.
Yeah, and the amount of time that people are spending on the app every day is sort of even more than we had expected and hoped for. So cool. We're trying to just introduce a discovery platform on the app. We introduced some new ways to sort of save and share your videos. So we're continuing to explore those features and build those out as much as possible.
I work with a lot of influencers, and you told me earlier that the Nordic countries right now are kind of really high on usage. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And what kind of advice would you give somebody downloading Beme today in terms of growing their audience and totally getting some traction?
So what I've seen, the users that have done the best are the ones who are consistently returning to the app and sharing frequently, not sharing once a week or twice a week, but coming back often throughout the day. Yeah. Beme is unique and sort of different from Snapchat in that you don't have this 24-hour sort of like continuous story. Yeah. You have these mini stories that you can film as often as you want. So you can capture these moments, you can share what your breakfast looks like, and it is a self-contained story, and then share meeting in the afternoon with your friend in the park, and that's its own self-contained story, and you can create these throughout, as often as you want, and the more you do them, the easier it is to continue growing your audience and growing your following. The other unique thing about Beme is that instead of likes, we have something called reactions. So reaction is you basically take a selfie as you're watching somebody's video, and it's your honest reaction to what you're looking at. Yeah. As opposed to just hitting a like button that everyone else gets. So we found that users who are sending a lot of those reactions and watching a lot of other users' videos, that engagement is returning back to them. Yeah. It's almost like a new age version of like follow for follow or hashtag follow back or whatever. Because
I mean, you taking a picture as a reaction is a much bigger step than a like or a heart. So I would imagine you get more loyal to who you're following because you spend more energy to giving them feedback.
And it's real time, so the reaction is happening as you're watching the video. So if you're watching something that's funny, you can send a reaction of yourself how you're actually laughing out loud instead of writing LOL. And you see like it's a much sort of deeper connection that you have with the person that you're sort of
and by the time this is coming out, you probably had videos as well?
Yeah, that's something that we are submitting today to Apple in the next day or so, to Android. So the next week or so you'll see video reactions as well. So it's been really fantastic. Like, I get to communicate. Right now we're in this pretty young state as a company, and the community is young and growing pretty substantially, and I'm kind of trying to distance myself from them and let them interact with each other as much as possible. So I'm helping to, the app obviously is doing most of this, but I'm helping to foster these relationships between people across the world. We're not a localized network. The community is genuinely like international and happening all over the world.
Seth Godin, one of my kind of heroes out there, he says that in order to create a tribe, you need to have a leader who just enables the community to communicate together without that leader. So you're just an enabler of the community, and that's kind of what you're telling me right now.
Enabling them and encouraging them as much as possible.
I mean, as a community manager, what do you spend most time on? I mean, what channels do you spend the most time on, and what do you focus on? Because what you're explaining is it's like a flood of people trying to communicate with you, and I guess it would be pretty hard to kind of filter through it all and be able to respond to everyone. So how do you think about that, and how do you manage or prioritize that?
Yeah, so I mean, managing a community for a social network is unique in that you can use the social network that you're managing to encourage that. So the easiest platform for me to manage the community through is Beme. So I can create a Beme that encourages other people to sort of imitate that and do similar things. So different trends start to pop up, and some of those come from me doing that. Some of them come from me observing what other people are doing, and then sort of imitating that myself and sort of expanding on that. So I see users creating really interesting stuff on the platform, and I try and help promote that by recreating it myself, or by kind of giving them a shout out on the platform and growing it from there.
The discovery part of Beme now is kind of where you spend most focus on lifting people's content up, and how do you get on the discovery thing?
Right now the discovery channel is curated by hand, so it's myself, and I have a team of people who are watching videos all day, helping to shape the channels that go live every day. Around noon we publish a new set of 8 to 10 channels every day. So right now we're seeing a tremendous amount of engagement in that part of the app, and that's where people are going to find content and going to find interesting things, find people to follow. So if you're someone who is interested in being a creator on Beme, getting featured is a great way to sort of start growing that audience. And right now I'm sort of the one who's actually dictating what ends up in the feed, but I'm dictating that based on what trends that I'm seeing and observing.
So people shouldn't be tweeting you. They should just create good content, right?
Exactly. I'm looking for people, and I'm following people who are consistently creating good content, and those are the people that I'm featuring. I'm not featuring people who email me and say, "Hey man, like, so if you're a creator and you're consistently creating good content on Beme, I'm gonna notice you, and I'm gonna follow you, and I'm gonna put you and promote you as much as possible."
So what you're saying, the success to creating a good community is one, kind of just enabling the conversation and putting yourself out of it, and two, creating tools so people can collaborate and inspire them to create content. Any other kind of advice to community managers out there who struggle with the flood of feedback?
Absolutely. This is something that I learned from our mutual friend Sam. Focus on things that work for you specifically. Like, don't spread yourself too thin. There's so many resources right now for community managers. Find the things that work for you and really focus on those and deliver consistently on those platforms, and you'll be much more successful than trying to do everything. I'm excited about where we're going, like genuinely really excited about where the app is headed. And I'm seeing increased engagement every day.
What makes me the most excited, because I did some research this morning before I met you, and just saw how the general public are engaging, not just in Beme but outside Beme, and I think today you have the most important role. I mean, nurturing the community to kind of make it grow. But I think you guys are doing it in a more kind of human and natural level than all the other guys are doing it. And you're much more relatable and approachable. So I think that's something that's going to be huge for you guys.
Yeah,
so
you're asking what it's important from my perspective as a community manager.
Okay,
this is something that I was thinking about, but now that you brought it up, being a human resource that people feel like they can talk to and relate to is hugely important.
Yeah.
Engaging with people on a human level and not like being robotic. I'm talking to our users every day, all the time. That's what I spend the majority of my time doing, is actually talking to people.
Yeah.
Getting on the phone, getting on FaceTime, DMing, emailing, tweeting, texting, whatever it takes to talk to these people.
Yeah.
That's been a huge thing for me. And that's one of the reasons people come back, is they feel like, and they do know me personally.
Yeah.
They know Jack on Beme as a guy that they can relate to.
Never underestimate being a human being instead of a logo then. Cool. I often, in my presentations, I have a picture of Beyonce and Jay-Z on the one hand, and I have PewDiePie on the other. And I say that Beyonce and Jay-Z, they're made by the media. And made kind of visible, and people rated them in that context. But PewDiePie is a gamer who has a very specific little niche. So everyone has ownership to him and his content. So the same thing, when I discover a song that I like and nobody's heard about, I love it even more, right? And when it goes on the radio, I kind of get pissed because they're fucking up my song, And it's the same thing with, for example, PewDiePie or Casey, is that you feel like you discovered him, and you feel like you're growing with him and building his community or his audience around him step by step by step. So the engagement level, like nothing like Beyonce and Jay-Z. They're much bigger and they have much more loyal fans who will do whatever for them. And when an influencer like that actually endorses products or an app or a video or whatever, it's so much more powerful. So it's really cool. Sam told me that he did the video with Marquez. And one single tweet gave him 10,000 views on the YouTube video. And getting 10,000 clicks and plays on a video like that, that's just so powerful. But that's the power of a true influencer that is not a fucking sellout, and the media hasn't created him, but he created himself based on doing great content in a long-term thinking. And doing it every fucking day. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's true.
I went on a rant there, but
No, I couldn't agree with you more.
And
what Beme does is it gives people the same tools that Casey's camera and his editing setup and all that stuff, the drone, all that stuff. Beme is on a small scale. All those tools packaged in one.
And for influencers, and especially when you get video reactions like that, you can do Q&As, you can get really close to your community. So yeah, really excited for Beme's future, and I want to come back a year from now and do the same thing at the same location.
Definitely.
And with the same background.
Cool. I dig it.
Cool.